Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, coming back at you after a little 1 week hiatus. I apologize to my loyal listeners that are out there. I did not drop a new episode last week. That little thing called life kind of got in the way for a week, so I do apologize. But I've just been a little crazy with the family and the kids and all that fun stuff. So it's all good stuff, but unfortunately the pod had to get put a little bit on the back burner for a week. So I do apologize, but we're back at it, and we're going to be rolling for the next couple weeks once again. So I look forward to that and all the great guests I got an even awesome or even better guest today. So we'll get diving into that in a moment. But again, if you are enjoying the podcast, hit those like, subscribe buttons, hit all that fun stuff. Give me those thumbs up, those thumbs down. Give me those comments, those remarks, anything like that. Let's just get that algorithm working to get our officiating word out there to more and more people. And if you're liking the episode, do me a favor, hit that share button. Share it out to some people who you may think are going to enjoy this episode and any other episodes. So, with all that fun stuff being said, I've had a couple episodes where I've had some people from England, from Finland, Norway, Mexico, but tonight I got something from a little bit further away. Joining me from Brisbane, Australia, I got Mr. Ash Synnott. Am I saying the last name correctly?
Yeah, close enough.
All right. So, Ash is joining us all the way from Brisbane. Right now, we are recording this episode. It is 7:30 here Tuesday evening. And Ash, what we got? Where are you?
Yeah, so here Brisbane, Australia, it's 9:30 a.m. On Wednesday morning. So actually coming to you from the future. So
yeah,
hopefully we've got some good answers and good responses for you today.
So who's going to win tonight's Yankee game? Can you give me that one? Did it happen already?
Tough one. Believe it or not, yes, we do get the MLB out here too, and I'm a bit of a Yankees fan, so hopefully the Yanks.
I knew I liked you already. Beauty. So Ash has decided to agreed to jump on today with us because he's got this great program that he's got set up in Australia, but they are branching out. They are becoming crossing the pond, coming across Officiating Collective. And for those of you that are watching, you can see the HTTP www.officiatingcollective.com. And you'll see next to it a user code, WhistleTalk20, where you can get 20% off of the subscription. We're going to kind of dive into all that stuff because you guys got some great things going on the website. And Ash, I'm going to pass it along to you. I'm going to pull up the website here on the screen for everybody to see, but why don't you give people a little bit of a background of what Officiating Collective is?
Yeah, so the Officiating Collective, it's an online resource library, and it's to help develop the holistic sports official. So kind of go back into the day when the OC was born. I spent a good 11 years working at the Australian Sports Commission. And so my role there was in the sports governance and business team. So looking after the way the organisations are built, their HR networks, the design of the business, including kind of like the roles and who's doing what. So a big chunk of that was the coaching and officiating. And I kind of fell in love with that officiating space after a few years on working on the national officiating scholarships. So what we did, we had this scholarship program in regards to, we probably get about 20 to 30 of the next best officials coming through. So we'd work with them on their psych, nutrition, recovery, mental toughness, and so forth. So when I left the Sports Commission in 2019, just prior to COVID actually, I was doing a lot of consulting with sports in regards to their officiating pathways, their education and training, their development, the curriculums, the online learning, and everything. And I was thinking of a way that we can get these resources and these skill sets that we use in everyday life, and how do we get this out to not just 20 to 30 select officials, but to officials globally, hundreds of thousands. So I kind of had a bit of a chat with a few people, a couple of people that we use through the Australian Institute of Sport as a specialist, so psychologists and nutritionists and so forth. And I had this idea of building this platform, and the feedback that I was getting was like, man, if you're building it, we're writing you content. So started reaching out to a few more of our specialists that we had used, or networks or connections that I had throughout my time at the Sports Commission and the Australian Institute of Sport. And I started just toying with some of these resources and what do they look like. And they all started coming together quite nicely. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to build a library out of this. So it took a few months off during that awful time of COVID that we all experienced, and kind of jumped on with a good mate of mine who was a National Rugby League referee for many, many years, Steve Clark. And I went, let's do it. And we built this thing, and we've been rolling now for about 6 years, or just under 6 years. And we've got 250 plus resources on our website, so mini training programs. And they're all around that psychology, nutrition, recovery, mental toughness, decision-making, values, leadership, well-being. All of these little life skills that we need, or our officials need, to not only be the best person they can on the field, on the court, on the pool deck, whatever it may be, but also off the field as well. So let's build some amazing champions for officiating, and let's give them some life skills as well.
Yeah, and that's when Ernie had reached out to me, and when he sent me the link to the site and everything, and I started looking at it, I was really like blown away with some of the stuff that you have on there, and a lot of light bulbs were clicking for me, and different ideas and things like that, and just seeing and stuff that I've talked about on the podcast and with a number of different guests. But yeah, we're there to do a job. We're there to be the officials to run the game, and rules and mechanics are really important to what we do, but it's not the only thing to what we do. And the fact that you guys talk about the nutrition aspect, the psychology aspect of it, because I've talked with people about the psychology and about the mental anguish that we sometimes put ourselves through as officials for making a bad call, for having a bad night and stuff like that. And you guys have all this stuff in there, helping with decision making and things like that. So talk to me about some of the education models that you have to get this information out to people. I know you guys do some webinars and things like that. So tell me about more of that stuff.
Yeah, we've got a few different things. So we're really building with what we've got at the moment. So our primary delivery model is being the online resource library. However, as certain partners that we do have also request webinars. So we do a few webinars here and there.
Okay.
I think we've got about 15, 16 that we've got planned over the next 12 to 18 months, which is really exciting. Sports will come to us for sport-specific education as well. So not long ago, we were doing some work with the USTA, and the USTA requested some tennis-specific webinars, which is really cool. So, and we also record each of our webinars or face-to-face presentations that we do, and we actually upload those as additional resources as well. So any of the ones that we do out here in Australia, if we're doing a presentation, say for the Australian Football League or for the National Rugby League, what we'll do is open that up to all of our officials, but for them knowing that it's going to be a rugby league specific education, but also we can learn so much from other sports and what other sports are going through as well. So what we really want to do is not just provide education and training, but really provide an opportunity for officials to learn from other officials and really bring that social network of being a umpire, referee, and a judge as well.
Yeah, and the last episode I had Brennan Miller on from Major League Baseball, MLB umpire, and just trying to pick his brain and trying to find out the different things that they're doing at the highest level in his sport, and how I can turnkey that into my sport and to other sports, because I know I have a lot of listeners that do multi-sport officiating and things like that. So all this stuff is great, and again, we're never done learning. And if we think we are done learning, that's when we're really in trouble. So we got to continue going with that, and with the training and just trying to improve on what we do to improve the game again, that is the grand thing I think that I'm trying to do here is just grow sport. And I see the impact that sport has on so many different lives, be it the fans, the coaches, and more particularly for me, the athletes themselves. We were just talking, my kids are heavily involved in sports, so I see how it affects their life. And if we can do our job well and learn how to train ourselves that, okay, sometimes we're going to have a bad day. Let's not take it out on the kids. Let's not take it out on the athletes and things like that. All that stuff plays an important role.
Huge.
One thing that I really like too, that I picked up a number of times on your website is the reference to officials being athletes. Dive into that a little bit, because I love that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's something that is quite often overlooked. And how do we prepare our athletes? So I spent a lot of time at the Australian Institute of Sport and the Australian Sports Commission, and working in that talent pathway type space. And while I was working there, I was still doing some stuff in officiating and just looking at what sort of resources and education and training that the athletes get. So whether they're like a Div 3 team or a Div 1 team, there's always someone there to help them with their recovery. There's always someone there to provide some sort of advice around nutrition, but training and so forth. And then I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder what it would look like with the scholarship program back in the day, and if we introduce some education and training on, let's teach our officials or educate them more in being an athlete, and let's provide them the same resources that athletes get. So a lot of, like, say if we look at football or soccer, so those referees could clock anywhere between 5 and 9 plus miles a game.
Yep.
So it's not like they're just walking around. So we've got Australian rules football umpires here that are clocking 16 to 18 kilometres a game, which would be good. Well, what's that? 11 miles a game. And during that time, they're blowing the whistle every 30 seconds. A third of that's running backwards. Another part's running forward, sprinting, stopping, and decision making. So let's provide these boys, girls, men, women some resources in how do they prepare, but then also post-game, what do they do? And how do they sleep? And how do they recover? And whatever it may be. Or even the mindfulness stuff. So being an official, you're on for sometimes hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Multiple times over a weekend. And how do we reset the mind and the brain rather than just, okay, cool, see you training on Tuesday. So we really wanted to use some of our specialists that write the content in creating these resources, whether they're a 5-minute resource or a 20-minute resource, to really support that official getting to that next weekend.
Yeah, and we talk about it a lot. If we're not in good shape, these kids that we're officiating, these men and women that we're officiating, they're training almost year round now. And some officials say, oh, we're going to pick up a whistle, throw on our stripes, and we'll be able to go out there. And then all of a sudden the injuries start mounting up for us. And I always joke, I officiate high school sports. Well, I keep getting older and they keep staying the same age. I'm stealing that from an old movie with different context in the movies. So those that are listening, please don't take that away. But it's true. The high school age kids, we're officiating kids that are between 14 to 18 years old. And then when you're in a collegiate level, you're looking at the young 20s. So I'm 51, going to be 52 soon. And if I don't continue to try to train and work myself, I'm never going to be able, well, I still can't keep up with these kids. Let me rephrase that. But I'm never going to be able to be in a good position. We always talk about the mechanics and being in the right position. Well, being physically able to get to the right position is extremely important. And the other thing that I know, sports psychology has blown up in the last couple of years, and rightfully so. It does play a major part. And I don't know of any professional team that doesn't have a sports psychologist as part of their staff, or the players are going out and seeing the different things. And it's for a reason, because what they're doing is a high level, high stress thing. Well, it's put stress on us mentally too as officials. And the fact that you guys have different things with psychology, with mental toughness. And again, you take the word tough in the world of sports and everybody thinks, oh, I got to be tough. That's not always what toughness means. Toughness is like, how can we bounce back from the mistakes that we do make and things like that. Talk about now your conflict resolution. I know you guys do some stuff with conflict resolution. So explain to that, because we're all trying to mitigate between working with coaches, with fans, with the athletes themselves, and we always have somebody unhappy with us.
Yeah, I think all of these kind of topics really touch on each other as well. So you're just talking before, if we just take two steps back in just in regards to being physically fit and being able to move and strong. Like you said, they're not getting any younger, but they are getting faster and fitter and stronger, and the coaches are getting smarter as well. So the coaches are really starting to coach around the rules and flexibility, which also, good segue, because it brings us into that conflict resolution and that communication on the field. So we've got about 8 or 10 resources alone just on conflict resolution and communication and being great communicators. So we've got some worksheets there that officials get the opportunity to work through, so they can print them off, and it'll ask you a couple of questions, and then you'll kind of answer the questions and go, oh, I didn't really think about that. And then the next game that they may officiate, or the next training, or competition or match or whatever it may be, will really give them the opportunity to reflect and really look at how they handled a certain or a particular situation. And if we look at the current state of the officials and why they're leaving sport, a lot of it is because they haven't been resourced or educated or trained. And it's not because they're not... it's not because the sports aren't doing a good job at educating and coaching them, because sports are brilliant at teaching them the X's and O's, but it's more around the stuff of when they leave the field. So the conflict resolution, if it starts to escalate and the official doesn't really know or quite know what to do in that situation, it can become quite a mess, to be honest. And it could really challenge the mindset of the official. But as soon as there's an error or something being challenged, and if the officials aren't in the right mindset or in the right space or using the right communication language, whether it be physical or verbal, then it can really escalate the problem. So we really want to give these guys and girls some training or some tips and tools of what to use throughout this process. And that's just one of our topics.
Now, I know another one that you guys talk about is the personal branding. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, we're all champions for officiating. So anyone who puts on the stripes, anyone who picks up a whistle or puts their hat on, you're a champion for officiating at that point in time. So how do we manage ourselves publicly? Like whether it's professionalism and showing up wearing the right gears, or showing up on time and being set with the field checks, the pool checks, whatever it may be. But it's also presentation, wearing the right kit, being on time, and probably the big one, and probably a bit of a taboo topic around, is the social media as well for officials. And generally, we know on that Saturday morning, the Sunday night, the Monday morning, who's copying it the most? It's not the players, it's the referees, the umpires, the judges. So let's be professional in the way we present ourselves online. Let's be the professional in the way we present ourselves on paper, but also in person as well, because for every young official that's out there, they're always looking up to an older official or a more experienced official.
Yeah, and I'm learning more and more about the personal branding myself with this little podcast thing I got going on here. But I'm always looking to improve on that, and again, I'm looking to hopefully put what we're doing in a good, positive light for those non-officials that are out there. I'm hopefully trying to get some more. Which actually leads me into the next one, and I don't know how much you guys do with this, but do you help with recruitment of new officials and different things like that? Is that something that you guys talk about?
Yeah, we do a little bit. So nothing directly with sports, but if a sport does come to us and say we need help, like we've got the skills and the capacity and the capability to certainly look at recruitment tools, recruitment strategies, marketing. It's more so, it's not the problem for sports to recruit officials, it's the retention, which is the tricky part. So
and that's where I was leading to.
Yeah, it's you go back to some of the data. So we did a national officiating survey, probably a little bit long in the tooth now, back in 2017, 2018, that I think NASO, they replicated, because I was doing some work with NASO at that point in time as well.
Okay.
So they replicated the officiating survey only a couple of years later. So the data was so similar. So we're recruiting, but we're losing 30 to 40% of our officials within that first 12 to 18 months. So the critical part is we've got them in the door, which is great, and they keep coming, which is great, but it's the experience or the ability or the resilience of the official to continue on past that 12th to 18th month mark. So could you imagine if we, as part of our recruitment tool, we provide some education, we provide some resources to help these officials through week 1, game 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, month 2, month 3. So we give them, so it's just not so bad each time. And if they feel like they're part of a bigger community and they feel like they're part of something bigger and they're being kind of looked after a little bit by the sports, then generally you're going to have them. And if you can get them past that 18 month mark, on average, you'll have them for anywhere between 14 to 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, and it's amazing because I was talking back with a gentleman that we were in the same cadet class, and we're now going. I lost track of how many years, but I'm around the 10-year mark. I don't even know for certain. But there's only, out of our class of, I want to say there was a dozen of us, there's only 4 left that are still on the field. And that's something that we're working towards and trying to get. And now our cadet classes for my local area here in New Jersey has been steadily going up. But again, it's the retention stuff. And it's the quote, officials don't quit because of the rules, they quit because of the environment. So what are some things that we can do to help improve that environment for everybody?
Yeah, a number of different things. So firstly, we get them in the door. We need to support them. Let's give them some tools. Help them get from week 0 through to week 60. It's not that hard. The other thing is you can buddy them up, so they've got a buddy, someone to lean on as well. So there's nothing worse than a new referee, umpire, judge, whoever it may be, come in. Here's your hat, here's your whistle, see you later, off you go. There's your game down on field 3. And we'll see you on Tuesday night. There's no place on earth that feels more alone than your first experience officiating. No matter what age you are, no matter how experienced you are, or if you've had a bit of time off. So we need to buddy them up. We need to have some mentor programs in place, some really, really good experienced mentors or officials that have been around to be able to provide some advice as well. But I think it really comes down to clear communication as well. So a phrase that I love, and it's something my wife says a lot, is clear is kind. So if we're being clear, we're being kind. So let's be clear to our new officials on what the expectations are, but then also let's talk to them about it's okay. We've all been there, we've gone through this, and if you do make an error or a mistake or you have a bad day, do you know what? The sun's still going to come up tomorrow. Let's give these guys and girls some tools in the ability to actually have that mindset and think back and go, you know what? That wasn't so bad. Yeah. Rather than that, you know what? That was awful. I don't want to do this again. And then they just don't show up. So, yeah, a few tools there available, but yeah, some strategies around kind of creating that really, really great environment for your officials to thrive in.
Yeah, and I love you talking about the whole mentorship, because I do have a lot of people that reach out to me about recruitment and different things like that, and I'm not going to lie, I don't know what else to do in order to get more people into the door, because like you said, we're getting there, but a lot of people just don't want to come into officiating because of the overall environment, because they see what's going on, and for some of the abuse that some of the officials are taking. And that, again, now circles back to your mental toughness, your knowledge of the rules, but also then the psychological aspect of knowing how to deal with not only the outside noise, but the inner noise that we create in our own minds when we do make a mistake or when we do have a bad day. Just continuing that and knowing that, hey, I got a support system out there, be it wherever, whomever. If I know that I've got something that I can go back to and talk with or get references from, I think that makes our minds a little bit more at ease.
Yeah, it's really important. So look, if we go back to the top of the show where we were talking around what athletes get. So how many coaches would go up to an athlete if they've made an error in their first couple of minutes of their first game? Like, what would they be saying? They would be saying, yeah, it's all right, mate. Come on, let's keep going. You'll get the next one. Let's keep moving on. Where it seems that in the officiating world, or you've made an error, like this is huge. And yes, there's only a small crew working, each match, and the errors are probably a little bit emphasized or more topical. But we need to be in the same mindset. If we go back to, let's treat our officials like athletes, let's protect them and let's encourage them and support them, and let them know that yes, a 100% perfect game, it's amazing, but in reality, how often does that really happen?
Yeah.
So there's not many out there, and I can assure you, everyone listening, every official that's ever picked up a whistle could probably put their hand up and go, "Oh yeah, I've had a stinker," or "Yeah, you know what, I've made some bad calls." But how do we move on from that, and how do we move forward? And I think the onboarding of officials, once an official steps into an organisation, sport, an association, whatever it may be, how do we look after them, like you said just before? And some work that we're doing with the NCAA at the moment. So we've just got an alignment with the NCAA and providing them a welcome to officiating resource. So any of our members, like once you're inside the library, it's structured exactly the same way it will be with the NCAA. And it gives you that first 6 months of education and training. So month 1, week 1, here's 3 or 4 resources to get you going. Month 1, week 2, here's the next batch of resources. Month 1, week 3, and that goes right through for your first 6 months, whether it's psychology, whether it's communication or conflict management, personal development, physical development, but then also understanding that ongoing learning is actually really good for you.
Yeah, that is good stuff. And the resources you got, I got the website. Let me pull the website back up here. The resources that you all have on the website itself is incredible. And we got the founders here, but where was
OC Light? If you go to the OC Light,
oh,
click
there we go.
in there. That's a sample of some of the training that we've got.
Yep, 250 different resources. So we got emotional, handling setbacks and rebounds. Again, huge. Creating healthy environments. It's all different things. Mastering the art of receiving criticism, because I always yell at not yell, but I get on my kids of make sure that you're coachable. Well, as a coach and as an official, I need to be coachable. I need to learn how to take criticism, because as an athlete, they're taking criticism from their coaches, because not everything does go their way. And some coaches, like you just mentioned, are, okay, listen, hey, we're going to come back and get that. Other coaches might be a little bit more harsh, but it's still some type of criticism. And for some people, sport is the first time that they're truly failing at something, where they're going to get some type of criticism. And the big thing with failure is it's going to make you better. Everybody fails. Everybody is going to make the mistakes. So we got to learn from that. So mastering that art and understanding what we're doing, conquering self-doubt. Gosh, I from one play to the next, I'm like, trying to think about, did I make that? And I can't have that snowball into the next play, different things like that. So this is all great stuff. And these are all just some samples of different trainings that you have. And I'm clicking into the one of navigating conflict in our sports. I got to reshare another screen here. I apologize. Let me go here. So again, this is one of the samples with starting the course. And you can see all the different resources here, just clicking through. Problem solving and avoidance, relationship and impact, conflict resolution outcome. So, I mean, there's tons of material in here, and you can get lost in this in a positive way of just making yourself a better official, but also a better person. Ash,
Yeah, I
how
think
many?
that's what we take our pride in, and what we're doing is we want the officiating industry to be looked at as people. And we want the officiating industry to be not just somewhere amazing for an official to be on a weekend and connect with people and connect with friends and new acquaintances and new colleagues, but to walk away from the officiating industry with so many skills that you can apply to your natural life. And you said just before, and looking at like your psychology, or whether it's sleep, or whether it's how to foam roll your calves in the morning, or whether it's how to do a hot and cold recovery session because you can't sleep at night time, all the way down to, you know what, I want to learn how to change direction when I'm running, or when I should be pushing off, or basic physio strapping, or anything like that. So it's it's not about the X's and O's for us. So we can do some sport specific stuff, but it's more around that. Let's treat our officials like people. Let's give them these resources to help them make next week better, which will make next week better, which will make next week better. And like you said, when you actually read through them, and I had a bit of an epiphany not long ago, and I was just revamping what all of our resources look like, and going from some PDFs to mini training programs, and just reading through some of the resources myself, I've got to really reflect on what do I do in my daily life, and whether it's the full-time job, or whether it's the way I'm coaching the kids, or you know what, I still run around and play touch football, which would be similar to your flag football there in the US. And on a Thursday morning when I need my wife to roll me out of bed and I'm like, oh, everything hurts, you kind of reflect back onto the things that you learn through what we've built. And for me to have access to those resources is amazing. Like for my kids and my 15-year-old who plays like towards the elite end of Australian rules football, and he was looking at self-regulation resource the other day, helping him get set for the upcoming season and how to regulate throughout the match. So it's not just about officiating, it's around people. And I think we take real pride in what we do in, you know what, if we've got 500 resources and one resource makes impact on one person out there across the globe, wherever they may be, then we've done our job.
Yeah, and I love that, because I keep reflecting myself about how I can become a better official. What can I do to improve what I do, my trade? But then I think about how that relates to my job. I'm a teacher, my family, how I'm officiating, quotes, air quotes, my family, my kids, what I'm doing, and the psychology. And have you made a mistake as a dad? I know I have.
Everyone has.
Yeah. And how do we learn from those mistakes? How do we get better at what we're doing, and the relationships and the communication? And gosh, yes, as a parent, we're dealing with conflict resolution all the time, especially when you got teenagers, and I got a teenage girl. So
I have teenage boys, and there's a fair bit of conflict there. So no, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, so it's not just you're looking to make us better officials, but in general, we're becoming better people. And I'm finding the more elite the official, I'm finding that there are more of an elite person. So
yes,
it's
absolutely.
just it's a direct correlation between the two.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the subscription and different things like that. The membership, I should say. How does that all work? And I see here, again, I keep going back and sharing the screen, some of the other groups that you are working in organization with, so supporting organizations. So we'll go back to the membership in a minute, but the guys and gals at Running Refs, I've had them on. NASO, you mentioned before. You got all these different groups here from all over the place. So you got swimming, hockey, volleyball, softball, baseball. I mean, again, it's not just football, but it's officiating. It's life and things like that. So, and now you just mentioned the NCAA has jumped aboard with you guys.
Yeah, we're really privileged. So we've been talking with the NCAA for, it would be close to about 18 months now, and a couple of conversations prior to that. So we're working with them really closely on what will work for the NCAA. So, and then we've come to an agreement recently around that welcome to officiating or new to officiating kind of pathway. So anyone who's stepping into the NCAA environment will have access to those first 6 months worth of resources, which is just phenomenal. Subscription-based website, but also we do, like you saw, a lot of stuff with organisations. So we can do organisation-based subscriptions as well. So one we've just done here in Australia is one of the organisations have come on board and said, as part of your fees to be an official for this particular sport, you'll actually get this included within. So you'll have all 250 plus resources included with your membership. So, or your what would you call it? Your registration fee. So not only do we have our 250 plus mini resources, we've got our 4 flagship programs as well. So, and they're those longer ones. So you would have seen the one that you brought up just before had 5 or 6 screens, and that's probably about the length of those mini trainings. So we want our officials to get in, read the resource, understand it. Some will have learning outcomes, some will just be education rather than accreditation. But then we do have 4 main ones, which are a little bit bigger, which take a little bit longer. So we've got our officiating fundamentals training. We've got the official advantage, which is well-being for sports officials. So the first ever well-being training program built by officials for officials. We've got empowering women and girls, so something that we're really, really big on, and we have some absolutely fantastic ambassadors and female officials involved with the Officiating Collective.
Awesome.
So all of our specialists are the ones who write the content for us. So we've got world-class specialists in their fields writing the content. So the empowering women and girls is just off the charts. Like, it is so good. And the feedback that we're receiving for that at the moment. So it's about educating females who are coming into the officiating system, environment, and ecosystem, but then also empowering and educating the people who are educating the females, if that makes sense. So it's really good for, like myself, when I read through the framework and the content, I was blown away by what these amazing females have pulled together for us. So it's really great for me to understand on how to develop and educate and train and support a female official coming into the industry. So I can only imagine what it's like for many others out there. And then we've got the New to Officiating program as well, which it's another one of our flagships. We've got a couple of big ones coming up as well. You mentioned it before, mentoring. So we've got a mentor training program in place, or in track at the moment. So hopefully launch that. What's the date? So we're hoping before the NASO Summit in Michigan in July. So hoping to have that one live by then. But then we've also got presenting and assessing education. So to help our officials become more confident in presenting, but also how the whole assessment process works. So we've got a bit going on.
So I just want to backtrack that. You're talking about the mentoring program. The program is going to be designed to teach people how to become better mentors
and better mentees as well.
Okay.
Like understanding how the whole thing of a mentor-mentee relationship works as well. So your role as a mentor, but then also your role as a mentee. So as the official, what role do you play within this relationship? So I know that history shows that a lot of officials are like, oh, no, the mentor should just come to me and tell me what I'm doing right and wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually flip that on its head. It's actually the mentee driving the conversation, driving the support, where they're struggling, what they can learn more from, and so forth. So, yeah, a program around supporting both the mentor and the mentee, but then also bringing them together. So that one should be live, I'm hoping, in the next couple of months.
Yeah, because I know I've talked to a number of different people that want to get involved with the mentorship program, but they're like, I don't know where to start as a mentor. I'm like, well, just talking, just being out there and being a voice of reason, or an ear for some people is being a mentor. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways.
Listening. So a lot of the times our officials don't really want solutions or answers or being told what they should or shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want to project, and it's the same, like we have these debriefs, and I think every family or couple or whoever would have these conversations at home where it's like, do you actually want me to give you feedback here, or do you just want me to listen? Sometimes I just want you to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And that's what I think a lot of our officials need as well. They just need to be able to debrief around some struggles or some challenges and some thoughts that they might be having.
Well, Ash, you guys got some great stuff going on with the program, with the website, and once again, officiatingcollective.com. I apologize, www.officiatingcollective.com. And if you're interested, there is a 20% coupon that you can use. It's a code WhistleTalk20, get you off that 20% off that initial subscription. Like most of us, Ash, you do have another job you got to get to. And as you mentioned, we're wrapping up our day. You're ramping up your day here on the Wednesday morning. So kind of want to finish off. I've been starting this little rapid fire type of closing segment. So you mind if we do that little wrap up?
Let's go.
All right. So one thing you think every official should start doing tomorrow?
Taking 5 minutes to reflect after a game.
What do you think officiating is going to look like in 10 years from now?
Advanced.
What is the biggest mistake you think that associations are doing today, and how can we improve upon that?
Whoa, this isn't a rapid fire question. This is a loaded question.
That's why I saved it for last.
The biggest mistake is taking officials for granted, I think.
All right. I love it. Perfect. So with that, Ash, I appreciate you once again from taking the time out of your day, out of your morning. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have all this information on my website, on the YouTube page, so you'll be able to click on there and you'll see all the information and the links to their website. But once again, Ash, truly do appreciate you taking the time and appreciate everything that you guys and gals are putting together there with the Officiating Collective. So thank you once again.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Really appreciate you having me on. And to anyone listening out there that wants to get in touch, by all means. And Ernie and the team from GEXA have been fantastic as being boots on ground, so to speak, for the OC there in the States. But tip of the hat to yourself, Mike. The work that you're doing and getting this content and knowledge out to these amazing officials out on the ground is phenomenal. And it's look, guys like you, the running ref reps, you name it, those out there working hard to get this tech, education, training, content out to these amazing people who decide to pick up the whistle is just phenomenal. So good job.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much. You have a great rest of your day, and I will definitely be in touch with you soon.
Will do. Let's keep chatting.
Absolutely.